Hello, everyone. Welcome to all of you who came to our panel, and also those streaming on Twitch. Hi, I'm Julia. I lead the communications for the Web3 initiative at Opera, and we have some awesome panelists with us today. First, let me introduce Thessy Mehrain, the co-founder of the Liquality wallet and the founder of Women in Blockchain. And we also have Brian Trunzo, the metaverse lead at Polygon Studios. Give it up for Brian, please. And last but not least, we have Guthmann, the ecosystem lead at StarkWare. And so I'll start. We have some really cool questions coming up to draw and pick on the brains of our awesome panelists, but let me just start by providing some intro. So our panelists entered the Web3 space a few years back when it was crypto was more niche, blockchain was like just for people in the know, and in 2021 and this year we've seen this exponential growth of interest in crypto and Web3 and metaverses, and we've also had some big corporations enter the space as if like with visions drawn from watching Ready Player One a few too many times. And so what we want to discuss is here the state of decentralization of Web3. But before we go into the challenges and how the projects of our panelists are fixing them, I wanted to pick your brains and hear like how you entered the Web3 space. What was the landscape like then? What made you interested in the first place? And what the key challenge was when you entered the space? We can maybe start with Brian.
Okay, great. I entered the space in the first quarter of 2017. I remember the first time I heard about Ethereum, it was like an out-of-body experience. I felt as though I could finish the sentences of the person who was explaining it to me. It just felt like I knew everything he was saying to be true and that I had heard it before. I was in a weird place at that moment in my life. I had exited 2 businesses. I felt very empty and I was looking for meaning. I was doing trend forecasting for fashion companies. I was explaining to them concept design, consumer insights, what they should be thinking about in designing for the next wave of consumers. And Ethereum really captivated me and really got my imagination going. And I started basically trend forecasting how the ERC 721 contract and this concept of digital scarcity would become extremely important for fashion brands that were looking to create wearables inside these metaversal worlds. So I launched a Metaverse and Web3 consultancy teaching brands how to get into Web3. And that eventually led me to Polygon and Polygon Studios.
And what was the challenge you noticed then? Like, what was the key element?
Just mass confusion, especially at multinationals, especially at large consumer brands. The CFO, for instance, doesn't know how to mark-to-market fiat to Ethereum transactions, for instance, right? So it's really getting people aligned and on the same page and educating them and motivating them to want to explore this new business unit for them.
Okay, let's hear from Thessy. There's a Burning Man story in there.
Yeah, I probably had the most dramatic entry into Web3. But yes, where did I come from? I was building trading applications in an investment bank, JP Morgan's investment bank, for about 6 years during the financial crisis. And of course, we all know that was a pretty tough time for many. And that got me interested in how financial systems could be done differently and better. And at the same time, being in New York, we also had Occupy right in front of the door, and that got me interested in the alternative banking group. And I started working with them and exploring different models, and ended up at sharing economy, this, that, and the other, and was at Burning Man. That's where Burning Man comes in. When I went to a talk, and at that talk, which was during a dust storm, so a lot of people didn't make it, including my friends. We set out on a bicycle, got there, and somebody was talking about Ethereum, and it totally hit me like yours. And it was very dramatic. the storm and everything. But there were two things that I felt. One was like, wow, this is like the opportunity in creating a different system that is neutral and open and that helps collaboration is a great opportunity. And at the same time, the idea of reward systems was scary because I thought, wow, already, even there were like 3 women and a bunch of guys. I thought, wow, we might actually reproduce the same system we already have. And those two initial feelings I had about this Web3 movement, that has actually been confirmed and is still there. And those are both my motivations to work.
So that kind of you're building on these 2 challenges with your projects, right? You have the Liquality wallet, which is chain inclusive, and then women in blockchain are fostering women in blockchain. Let's hear about your path, Louis.
I guess, sorry. I guess I have a much boring path than those 2 folks here. So, like most people, I came into crypto through trading. I started first time I heard about Bitcoin 2012, first bubble 2013. My credit card didn't pass. You know why? I was a kid, so I guess it didn't pass. And then I decided to sort of buy my first Bitcoin for real in 2016, just to track the price, like probably €1 on Coinbase. And went to work for a company. ETH became big at the same time of the DAO. All the company was investing, all of them. And then next week, the following week, the DAO, the hack. All of a sudden, everyone cries, losing money. But like, okay, I'll leave it there. And so I left it for 6 months, early 2017, January 2017, I looked back at my Kraken account and was like, oh, shit, it came back to 3 times what I invested. That's cool. Let me read about more. And then I started to just read the Bitcoin paper and read pill right away and started reading the Ethereum paper and a lot of things that coming out like that. And by the end of 2017, I was like sorting into cryptography, the proper cryptography side of things. And the entire year of 2019, I studied cryptography by myself up to a point where I started a meetup called DK Global, which was like expanding to Tel Aviv, Paris, London, Toronto, and Seoul. And started to work with the BW Ethereum Foundation on crypto stuff, the first version of DK's rollup and stuff. And by mid-2019, through a set of circumstances, I basically StarkWare reached out and say, oh, we are hiring. Like, you have a good profile for what we're building. And so this is my story to crypto.
Okay, great. So let's move to the second part. Decentralization has been described as a spectrum spanning from a fully functioning trustless system to trade-offs for certain aspects and all kinds of compromises. So what's the current state of decentralization in Web3, and how are your projects working towards fixing the challenges that exist? We can maybe start with Thessy.
Whoa, that's a big question, right? So there are several layers here. One is like, yes, my project, Liquality, it's a multi-chain, multi-blockchain wallet. So where you can trade and hold everything from Bitcoin to Ethereum. It's not just EVMs. And you can also access the Web3. So what's different here, it's like basically the one place where you can have your window into Web3. The promise here is that we make it easy for people to access and make it easy for people to hold their value. How this started is actually quite interesting because we started with atomic swaps and atomic swaps between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this goes back to what you said about trustlessness. So atomic swaps are one technology that allow trustlessness. It's a technology, for those who don't know, just Google it, or come to the Liquality website, to the blog, it's explained. And what we did is we made Bitcoin and Ethereum compatible through a chain abstraction layer. So that was the innovation, right? So this is one part, this is trustlessness. But probably not everything needs trustlessness the same way. Or sometimes, there's certain inconvenience coming along with that. And we all know about Web3 and usability, that being sometimes you know, a hindrance waiting for confirmations and all these things. So Liquality is chain agnostic, and we treat everything the same, and we want to make it easy for everybody. The state of Web3 today is, it's interesting because with NFT community, a whole other vibe came in, right? We started out with the cypherpunk thinking of trustlessness, but there's so many other chains that have different promises. And so what I think is really important is we have to keep in mind, why do we do this, right? What is Web3 about? And even here I have heard a lot of people talk about the better world, all inclusive. But truth is, you know, we have to really think about that. Is that true? Can everybody join this? How do we decentralize power? Because it's really a decentralization of power and a power shift. And I feel we are at this point where it's going very commercial, and we have to really think about this and be very aware. Sorry, I took a couple of minutes longer.
That's okay. Maybe we can hear from Louis and how StarkWare is solving current challenges in Web3. Like, are you making it Web3 a better place? Are you keeping it decentralized? Everyone's pretty excited about your technology.
Yeah, I'm happy to discuss that. So, what do StarkWare bring to Web3? The very simple answer, short answer is scale. So, you know, StarkNet scale, StarkWare enables scaling, ZKP enables scaling. But the truth is that this tech, this ZKP tech, is, you know, everyone talks about privacy usually when talk about ZK. From my perspective, the validity proof, the fact that I cannot lie when I'm running a proof, I cannot lie to you, is what matters. It was really interesting. And so when it comes to decentralization is not a goal. It's a moving target. The goal is trustlessness. The goal is transparency. The goal is self-custody. This is what are the goal of blockchain, ownership. And so what StarkWare brings to the table when it comes to ZKP, that it enables to have environments which are easier to use for, which are less decentralized because they provide the same trustlessness and, you know, a pure decentralized network. But they also enable centralized entity to make environment which feel like Web2. And that enable also Web3 to regular Web3 folks to enjoy a more scalable environment with respect to the principle, which are inclusivity of, you know, and inclusivity means something specific when it comes to crypto. So this is what StarkWare brings to the table.
And I guess faster transaction speeds, lower gas fees through the layer 2?
So yes, obviously, but the thing is, it's very funny. People keep, you know, talking about L2s and lower fees. I'm going to bring a hot take here, which is there is no way for a successful blockchain with DeFi activity, with financial activity to be cheap in the long run. And the way we see, at least from my perspective, I don't know if I'm talking for StarkWare here, the way I see cheap in the long run is through usage. We published something called Fractal L3 recently, where we not only do, you know, enable an L2, but we enable, using our tech, using that trustlessness, to build all the layers on top of the L2. And so where are maybe more centralized, but more cheaper to use for users. And at the same time, for the regular folks can also enjoy, you know, faster transaction, cheaper, while respecting the principle of blockchain, which is inclusivity, and what it means when it comes to the tech of blockchain. What does it mean, inclusivity? It means you should be able to verify the chain on your phone. You shouldn't rely on Infura. We have to today, but that's the end goal. And this is what StarkWare brings.
Thank you. I'm going to add a different question to Brian here, is also allowing you to talk about Polygon, of course, but maybe we could also sum it up, like, what do you think the responsibilities of this community here are? Like, you know, are we okay to make compromises for, you know, scale or further reach, or should we just, you know, make crypto weird again, as you said earlier?
That was something that we were discussing earlier, this keep crypto weird sort of meme. Sort of like when a neighborhood gets gentrified and people say, let's keep the neighborhood weird, that sort of thing. But bringing it back to a more serious place, I think it's everyone's responsibility in the space, never mind you know, the dApps and the protocols, to pay it forward and to evangelize and to onboard as many users as possible. And I think, you know, speaking for Polygon and Polygon Studios, that's precisely what we're trying to do both on the tech side, but also on the culture side. So bifurcating the two, for Polygon, it's addressing the speed, the scalability, transaction throughput through everything from our SDK capabilities of spinning up validator sets for public companies and companies of a certain size that want to run their own validator and have their own sidechain, through our proof of stake sidechain, which is battle tested for years now, and straight through to ZK rollups and data availability. So really giving a modular sort of approach to evangelizing and onboarding people into decentralized Web3. On the Polygon Studio side of things, we look at it, this onboarding and this evangelizing in a different way, and that's through cultural relevance, right? We take the view that anyone who's crypto native is already onboarded. There are no more crypto native folks, right? If you are crypto native, you're here. So how do we get the next 100 million or billion wallets onboarded into Web3? And that's through cultural relevance. That's through excellence with fashion, celebrity, entertainment, lifestyle, sport, creating really exhilarating experiences that are based in NFTs, based in blockchain-based gaming, and also based in metaversal virtual open worlds. So that's really how we look at it from both the Polygon and the Polygon Studio side.
I don't know if we have any time left. No one's kicking us out, so let's also hear from Thessy.
Absolutely, yes. From the Liquality perspective, very much aligned with you. Liquality is liquidity and equality. So equality is something super important to us. It's in our name, and we're pushing for that. And how can technology do this? Web3 is actually always, that's the value proposition, equality, right? And so what I think is really important to keep in mind for everybody working is like, what are our value propositions? We have to do things with intention. And intention means like different things at different times. Right now, in this Web3 environment, we're still dealing with the basics, right? We have to build the basic tools. Now the next level is like multi-chain, make it easy to bring the different communities together in one wallet, right? Our wallet allows other communities to basically access each other's dApps. And that's amazing, right? You have a whole community, the RSK community can go to the Ethereum dApps and make this very easy, can exchange value across. And the next step is a DAO, right? And so the future is really is constantly moving, and this community here in East Denver is always this very open and explorative community. So what I would say what's really important to do is keep talking about our values and make sure that we are really on top of what we're promising, right? Because we do say, we do this for all, but truth is, decentralization means, a power shift. There are laws, there are regulations. We all get to these edges at some point, building DAOs in different jurisdictions, building DeFi products, and having to talk to lawyers. So what's really important is to also not forget that side of policy and make sure that we really lift the opportunity and realize the opportunity of bringing people in that have been excluded so far.
So we have Brian's point, keep it culturally relevant, make it exciting. Your point, keep it decentralized, maintain the principles, talk to legislators. What do you add to that, Luis? And I think that will be some of the final remarks.
I mean, I guess, keep it exciting. Like the thing that gets me excited right now when it comes to Web3, and I mean, obviously I'm very involved with StarkNet, so I will talk what I know, is seeing new folks coming in and bringing new things that didn't exist before, things that were unimaginable before. Either because the tech wasn't there, and this is what, there is, in my opinion, there is like sort of three breakthrough in the space of blockchain. There was like Bitcoin, the Satoshi Nakamoto paper, Nakamoto consensus, the Ethereum bringing smart contract, and ZK. Don't have to be StarkWare, it could be other players in the space. And we are just very early in this ZK space. And we are starting to see people creating things that didn't exist before in the space, like doing proper decentralized gaming, unstoppable games. and achieving Vitalik's vision of gaming, right? So this is like what I would advise to people, and what I want to see more is like, go crazy, try out the new tech, go crazy, build the thing that you want to see, and bring that weirdness, I guess.
Thank you. I'm just going to add that maybe like from the Opera side of a browser and an app that started in Web 1, went to Web 2, now is heavily shaping Web 3, at least that's what we say. And so, you said like make the app you want to see, and I would add like make the solution the app that like will make large audiences go crazy, because I think that's also what Polygon is starting to achieve, is like build this whole ecosystem of exciting games, exciting dApps that will finally are on this cusp of reaching mass adoption. So like as a browser company, we see our role, like this QR code here, if anyone wants to try the beta before we launch in March, it's like, it's just our vision of how, 3 minutes left. So it's kind of the realization of our vision, like how to make crypto understandable to non-crypto natives, to keep it exciting for crypto natives, but also make it understandable, provide a safe, like wallet, browser, Web3 browsing features. So I think there is Thessy, you wanted to say, So I'm saying it's just like, I think it all comes together, and I'm really rooting for Web3 to just like go into the mainstream and become a staple.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. Yes, we all want to be excited here, and we're all here, and we're all privileged, because otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? But the real innovation, in my point of view, is happening in the edges, in these folds, in these places where people have been excluded, in countries in the global south where people are actually building solutions. Right now, here, we're building the path, we're building the tools to actually, even have Web3, like the wallets and all the infrastructure, but we have to really be intentional about including the global south, because there are lots of solutions there that in the end will also be very beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, I think we've actually run out of time. Thank you very much for coming. Here's to Web3. Thanks everyone for watching us here in the metaverse.